Look at us! We're back.
Yay!
Everyone, hello. Jordan's back in his place. Look at that.
Look, I don't think you can see the iron.
You look so comfortable, though.
Can you see it? I don't know.
No, I can't see the iron, but we all have faith that it's here. Welcome to 100 Talk. Look at how happy we are.
I feel
Jordan,
happy. How do you feel?
I feel happy, and it's not just because of Thanksgiving.
Although I'm feeling super thankful.
I'm feeling very, very, very thankful. Because, wow, what an exciting week it has been for 100 Thieves.
And thankful not just for this incredible...
Oh, you got the mug too. We are mug bros.
Hey, bro.
Mug bros.
Cheers.
Bros. Do the mugs. Celebratory glass of whatever you're drinking.
Man, do you remember when we talked a week ago?
I don't really.
I
mean, it all went by so fast. And I may have said some things that were so inaccurate, it turns out. But man, if there's a week for me to be wrong,
I wasn't going to insist that we start there, but if you really want to, we could. But this is like one of those instances, right, where I think my hot take at the end of last week, which was like a hot / optimism take, I think it played out.
It definitely played out. And so in case you were under a rock or on a social media fast or just waiting to see what the end result would be, look at 100 Thieves. They had a week in which they re-signed Ssumday, which I said I didn't think was going to happen.
I didn't think it would either.
They signed Huhi, which turned out being super cool.
You thought would happen.
Yeah, I mean, that is one that I thought we definitely would have a high chance to see. And then the other move was pretty nice too, which was we have Bang.
We got Bang.
Woo! Things are looking a little different. Things are looking a little different right here. Let's just go ahead and say
it's the heist.
And I was all, I think we're going to get an import bot laner, but it's not Bang. I think I said that like 100 times on Twitter. Guys, I really don't think it's Bang. Woo, what a time to be wrong and what a time to be a 100 Thieves fan.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really good to be wrong. But there were just enough signs. There were enough signs that it was I felt like my optimism wasn't completely misplaced. There have been times since we've started this podcast where it has been, and I've acknowledged that. But there were just enough signs, right? And I think once Ssumday put his name on the line, I was like, something else is up. Something else is going to happen.
I got to tell you, when I saw the Ssumday news, I thought that was like, well, we're not getting like a super high level import bot laner. Because, I thought we'd bring someone in for sure and someone who's going to be good. But, with the Ssumday signing, I was like, well, that's probably a lot of our money.
That's all of our cash.
Yeah.
Well, and so the reason I thought that it was a sure sign of good things to come is because I think there's no way we re-sign him if we don't have some significant improvement across the roster. So I think he must have known that we were in pursuit of some big things. Because I just don't think... Yeah, boy, were we. And maybe that's not totally accurate. Maybe he would have, but it just feels like the way the last season ended, and not even just Worlds, but the last, call it 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty discouraging to him. He put out some tweets that we had talked about, which were kind of concerning from a morale standpoint. So it was a clear sign to me that he was feeling more optimistic. Otherwise, why would he stay? So we got him. We got Ssumday.
Now, I have to take a minute to shout out one of our listeners who's been one of our earliest listeners, Diego, aka Unreal Dreamer, who called this thing exactly, I believe. I believe he called this exact roster, and not like when, we were getting reports that this might be happening or whatever. He called this like before free agency started, I even think.
Yeah.
So, man, shout outs to him.
We'll have him on as a guest to just rehash at some point.
Just to say, I'm right. I was right. And
I
mean, there were... Go ahead.
Good. Yeah, I was gonna say I love one on Hotline League where they replay the people who have hot takes that end up being right.
Yeah. So maybe we should revisit those tweets and
We will.
give them a shout out. There's some other people who knew that this was going to go down. So shout out to all of our smart chat people who are always smarter than we are.
200 IQ chat.
You guys, yeah, that's right. 200 IQ chat. You guys are some real ones. So let's. I mean, for the show tonight, what we're basically going to do is celebrate. And we're going to talk basically player by player and what our starting roster looks like, how the pieces that moved are going to help us. I was going to say help or hurt, but I'm not seeing a lot of hurt here. No. And we'll just kind of go down the roster, and then if you guys have any questions along the way, feel free to put them in YouTube or Twitch, whatever you feel comfortable doing, and we'll try to get to those. First on my list was to talk about Ssumday, so we kind of already did that a little bit. I think I had said that there was a possibility that maybe the market for him dropped off. I can't remember if I told you that in a private conversation or just
I will,
on the pod. Or
I will confirm for the chat and listeners that Cole did mention that to me, whether it's here or privately. But yeah, go into that a little bit more. So talk about why.
It was just interesting how Worlds shook out. I felt like the way that Worlds played out, we just felt like there was a lot of strength in the top lane across everything.
Yeah, it was stacked. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that maybe something with Ssumday happened is just like, there's so many options for teams who are looking to pull in top tier talent. So it's not exactly that like Ssumday was not, like a high level talent or something, because he clearly is. But at the same time, it's like there's just a lot of options there.
Yeah, especially in Korea.
Yeah, especially in Korea. So, maybe that was just something that played out where it was just, no, I'm good here. Yeah, right. and other teams were good too. But I'm very, very happy with this because I think that the way that the roster is structured now, we're going to be able to unlock him a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
And
totally.
That is just a fantastic thing. Because we all know what it's like when Ssumday, goes and carries a game, and it's magnificent.
That's a super important point. I think for the majority of last season, I think the early weeks of summer split, and kind of less talking about spring now, but I think he was pretty well constrained by our overall lineup. Like we had a pretty, it was almost like a top agnostic lineup. And I think the games where we saw him carry was those where he could really split push and just generate his own lead through his own insane play. So yeah, I think the new roster is going to absolutely free him up to do a ton more than we've seen in the past. So I think that'd be very positive for Ssumday. He's got to feel really, I mean, everybody on the main roster has got to feel really good right now, but I think Ssumday in particular is got a smile on his face, I'm sure.
Yeah, which makes us all smile.
Which makes us all, because when that dude's happy, it's just...
Yeah. And one of the questions we're getting, actually, this is an interesting one. So YouTube chat saying, what do you think about the Ssumday versus Broken Blade as a matchup? So Broken Blade, I believe, was announced as TSM's new top. Is that correct?
Yes.
So
I think that was a today thing, right?
Yeah, that might be a pretty fun matchup. I've still got to say that I've got faith in Ssumday against pretty much the entirety of NA. Impact has shown to kind of slow Ssumday down a little bit. That's kind of Impact style or whatever, is just to limit people's carry potential and kind of frustrate them and stall out the game. And he has certainly done that against Ssumday. Yeah. But other than that, man, I gotta like Ssumday's chances.
Yeah, I think where we've seen Ssumday come up short in NA, it's been when our overall team comp just isn't scaling at the same speed as the other team. Like if we're getting roughed up in bot lane and then he gets into a team fight, he just doesn't have enough damage to do anything. And that's where we see it.
And I think we found a solution for getting...
I think we've got an idea on how to fix that. Yeah. And Toby did say that you had mentioned that in the Lost Pod. So you're double clear on people.
Toby, my guy Toby. Thank you.
He remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Ssumday.
You want to do Bang? You want to talk Bang?
Just jump straight to the bot lane.
Okay. No, yeah, I'm not running. I'm running like, who do I want to talk about? Wow, Bang. Okay, so we got Bang, who was SKT,
He's on our team now.
and he's been with SKT for years, right?
Yeah, a long time.
And he's won the world championship twice. Jordan, I had a quick question for you. How many world championships has Double Lift won?
Are you talking about how many games in group stage or world championships?
How many world titles does previous NA favorite
I hope that in every matchup that we get against Double Lift, Bang uses his championship skin. Like what better salt could there be in the world, dude?
Yeah. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, again, in case you haven't been watching this on Twitter, and let me just take a minute to say that this week on Twitter was like the most fun I've had in a long time.
I could not put my phone down.
It was a great week. Yeah, especially the day when everything was popping off, which was the day before Thanksgiving. So that Wednesday, everything was rolling like crazy. And then by the end of the night, it was just waiting for that Bang confirmation to come through. Yeah, it was really, really fun. And some of the fun was Bang getting into it with Double Lift a little bit. So we know Bang has no fear on Twitter. In addition to having no fear on the Rift.
Yeah.
And I'm just liking this injection of personality into the team.
Yeah. It's so refreshing, man. And I think into NA even. In NA, I think Double Lift is the only guy who actively, that's not true. He is the most active trash talker. So to have somebody now who can't, like, his foil, right? I mean, I think it's probably safe to say that most people give Bang the edge in this matchup. And I think for NA fans there will always be those NA fans who give the NA player the matchup just because of their homies. But this is like, it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out because Double Lift talks so much trash in NA.
Yeah,
and he's the only one.
I like him. Like I'm.
Oh, me too.
I like Double Lift. I'm not like trying to just
totally. Yeah, but it's like he's in a league where he keeps trying to like get people to come at him, and they just don't. They just won't do it. And I think a lot of times because he smashes them so hard that why would you? Like, why would you volunteer for that?
Yeah. And so it's just fantastic to watch that. So, you know, Bang started it, right? He said, like, I'll see you very soon or something like that, you know?
See you soon, Double.
And then Double Lift replied with, like, this, like, meme of him as the Grim Reaper with, like, the decapitated heads of the other ADCs that he had beaten along the way, and he's knocking on Bang's door. And then Bang said, final boss will come for you. And, like, I especially love, like, an import player talking that trash. Because, like, you know, he's not a native English speaker or anything, and he's like, whatever, I'm just going for it. Oh man, it's so nice to have like that kind of personality on the team.
He's been on the team for like 2 days, and he's already given us so much fun.
A great moment, yeah. And Toby mentioned the season 2 of the Heist will be so good with big personalities on the team. I'm right there for that. Like,
yeah,
I just see this being an injection of energy. That's just gonna be great.
Man, what like. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, you look at Ssumday, you look at Ryu, both super quiet guys. And I do wonder, is it just something about the ADC position that it's like is that always your like trash talking swagger player? Or
we're both trying not to laugh because when we play, I play ADC. Which if I was good, maybe I'd talk some trash. Seeing as how I'm trash, I don't do it.
I think there is something about it, though. I mean, you're definitely a competitive guy. Like, you know.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And so I think those, you know, you gravitate toward the position where it's like, yeah, I want to go ahead and blow up the whole team. That's fine. I'll do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Well, so okay, here's a question about Bang for you.
Yeah.
So obviously we already alluded to Double Lift, and Double Lift now has Core JJ with him. Core JJ being someone who I've always like felt is unreal at Tom Kench, and then like pretty good at everything else.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, definitely going to be an improvement over Ole.
Yeah.
But okay, so there's that matchup. Is there anyone else in NA for you that's like, okay, Bang's actually going to have some company?
I mean, Sneaky is always a question mark in my mind. I think he's shown us that he can deliver on the world stage. He was playing against bot lanes of this caliber throughout the whole tournament that just wrapped up. So, yeah, Sneaky for sure. And Zazel, we know, is good enough to stand on his own too. So that'll be interesting to see. TSM, I'm not really worried about, to be honest with you. I feel like they've been so out of sorts, especially early in the next split, since they're going to mix up their bot lane. I don't think we're going to have, if anything, maybe it'll just, like, if we play them early in the split and we're both getting up to speed, maybe we kind of, I like, maybe it's an even matchup is my thought there. And I could see the other ones, the more established ones, kind of giving us trouble early.
I don't know about Sven and Smoothie being good enough to hang,
Yeah. I don't think, I agree with you.
I'm not sure. I feel like we just come into the split with an advantage in bot lane automatically, which is just amazing. Being is that like put it in this context. What was our bot lane a week ago, right? It was we don't even know who's going to start between the two of them. Like every game, we're kind of wondering, and it's like, okay, definitely having some chemistry issues and some play that's fallen off. And now we go from that to like, all right, so who's going to keep up with us? And even if we don't emerge as the most dominant bot lane in NA, we're going to be in contention for that. Yeah. And what I'm honestly anticipating, and this goes for the whole thing, is that we're going to ramp up in a few weeks. Like we probably won't start out that hot, even if we're winning games, it will probably be look like we have some issues, look like we have some things to fix, and it'll take a few weeks to really settle in and get everybody playing the same way. But
although interesting thing to think about, so I agree with you. I feel like anytime you have roster shakeups, there's going to be that transition period. We do have a long layoff, so we have more practice time to just kind of get our sense about like what is this team now, because it's completely different.
And that's important to point out because last year that was not the case, right? The team was kind of thrown together right at the end. So
right, we had 2 weeks, and we've already been seeing tons of videos coming out from Aphro of him playing with Huhi again. You can tell he's delighted, just like so happy. So the fact that we have Huhi in, I think that does take away some of the transition time that you'd need. And I think, so if anything, it might be a Ssumday Huhi like transition or Anda. But I think that'll help, the fact that he and Aphro play together so well. They know how to communicate together. It's like the bottom half of the map is pretty much going to be automatic. I've got a lot of confidence in Anda's ability to figure out how to play with that side of the map. If anything, I think Ssumday might not be used to it because he's going to get roaming support from Huhi, which was not Ryu's playstyle. I mean, he would make that trip, but it wasn't his identity. So, but I don't want to. I don't want to.
Different.
Yeah. Should we stay bot lane? Because I do want to talk a little bit about Aphro as well.
Okay, go for it.
So, I feel like everybody's like, well, that's the one thing that didn't change, right? So, no need to come back to it. But you can't ignore the fact that bot lane's a dual lane. So, of course, the second half of this, and I've been seeing people talk about how trash Aphro is now and how he didn't show up at Worlds and all this stuff. And I think it's a huge disservice to him to not give him credit for playing with what was clearly a very dysfunctional bot lane situation. Like he can't have had good synergy with either of those guys, because we know that those guys were having serious arguments. I guess we don't know that as much about Rikara, but Rikara just wasn't an ideal ramp up situation. He got thrown right into it. He didn't have time. So I think it's not fair to I think the recency bias is way too strong on Aphro. And he was the spring split MVP. And so it's not, we're less than a year from that. We're 6 months away from him being the best player in NA.
And maybe that's really a lot of it, is people just okay, he won MVP in spring, so he didn't win MVP in summer, he's trash now. It might have been a little bit of that in play too. But yeah, certainly with what he had to work with at the end and splitting his scrim time with those guys and stuff, like, yeah, it had to be tough.
Yeah. So I think like there's a part of me that was like, I hope that Aphro can keep up. And I do think that, I think that Bang is on a different skill tier than almost everybody else in NA. So I don't think it's like a flame against Aphro to say he's the one who now needs to make sure he can keep up with Bang. But I feel like Aphro's definitely good enough that he's not going to be slowing Bang down, I would say. It'll just be a question of like, are they on the same level?
Yeah. That's interesting to point out. And fortunately, yeah, I think the synergy between Aphro and the other members of the team is like going to be good enough to where like you really can focus on that and
For sure.
improve it as soon as possible. Because like you're playing with people that you've played with a lot already.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, my other 3 guys are 2 of my teammates from last split and a guy who I played with for
years.
So,
yeah.
For years. Yeah. So
he's one of my best friends.
Right. Yeah.
So there you go.
So that's really just you figure that there's going to be time to develop that, especially while we're waiting for spring split to actually come around.
Yeah.
So yeah, like and since it's a synergistic position in the first place, like how well you do as a support or ADC is contingent upon how well your counterpart does.
Yep.
Which I know all too well from playing. But yeah, you know what I mean? So I think there's no reason to expect that we're going to see him like fall off a cliff or anything.
No, I don't think
Plus,
so.
we know he's like the shot calling god. So
Yep. It will take them time to figure it out for sure. They'll have to get used to playing with each other, even though so I think that'll be the main thing is how quickly can they get up to speed? Not like, is Aphro good enough or is Bang going to be able to deliver in NA? I don't have concerns about that. It's just how quickly can they get back up to form?
Yeah, and as our girl Bedingerim is pointing out, obviously communication is going to be something. So,
yeah.
How well does Bang know English? And
my early impression is it seems like he's ahead of where Ssumday and maybe Ryu were when they first joined the team. Although, I know Ssumday has picked up English like bizarrely fast. So that's, he's probably at a point now where he has absolutely no trouble and it's completely fine. It will be interesting though. And that is always an X factor. I hope it's not like a Levi situation where we just can't unlock the full potential of the player because the comms are such a big challenge.
Well, let's use that as a transition point to talk about Huhi then, because guess what? We have another Korean speaker on the team.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So
you forget because its English is like perfect.
Yeah, that's right. So we have Ssumday, we have Huhi, we have Bang, and then we have Ryu hanging around as a coach.
Yeah.
Right? So we have 4 Korean speakers that are able to, work on this whole piece of the puzzle in the meantime.
Right. At this point, Aphro and Anda just need to learn Korean. Like, wouldn't that be the easier approach here?
Yeah. We should just, Aphro and Anda, man,
just
you guys got work to do. Yeah. We're going to be the only NA team doing all Korean in comms.
It will make for less entertaining episodes of the heist, at least for us. Our Korean fan base will be very pleased.
Yeah. Yes. Bring on the Korean fan base, by the way.
There's an interesting thought.
Get them numbers up.
Do you think do we now have more Korean fans as an organization?
Yeah, Bang may have single-handedly turned the ship on there. Yeah.
Most popular team, NA team in Korea.
Yeah. But yeah, so Huhi, obviously we've already made allusions to not only the years of experience playing together with Aphro, but just the friendship, right?
Yeah.
And man, that was cool to see some of that stuff come back, where especially that video of Aphro's stream, right? When Huhi sent him that message.
Yeah.
Or he's just like, thank you for playing with me and for being my best friend and everything.
His sub notification.
I was like, dang, dude, I'm gonna cry. It's like holidays, man. I'm an old man now. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna shed tears. I'm gonna see this on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, when they do the Hallmark remake of this season, it'll be in 2021.
Yeah, we're transitioning from the heist to the Hallmark Channel. Gosh, but yeah, he just seems so. Huhi is another thing that just like the personality injection in the team is going to be great. Like,
Yeah.
he just seems like such a nice dude, and he seems to have fun.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what, like, gosh, you know, if Medios and Cody Sun were, you know, feeling the pressure, and everybody felt like expectations were on them, and, you know, and some were split after a spring split, and there's like a high tension environment, man, it's got to help having Huhi around.
Yeah, that dude's a joker. You can tell he's got like a real funny personality. And yeah, I agree. Like, I think hopefully he can kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And I mean, even though Ryu and Ssumday were super good friends, you could tell Ryu is just like an incredibly quiet guy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the videos I've seen of Huhi since he signed on, I'm just like, this dude's a classic jokester.
Yeah, like very entertaining. It's not all about that though. It's about the play as well.
Yep.
So you talked about how, you know, we're going to see some roaming stuff because that's his style.
Yeah.
So we're going to have like, you know, like bot lane ganks from mid instead of from the jungler. And Huhi, from what I understand, is pretty low resource demanding player, right?
Yeah.
So he's someone who is going to fill that spot, provide a little bit of flexibility, but not take away from what the carries are going to be doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think in which way this is bad. You know, like,
yeah,
like it, I really did like Ryu, and we were some of like, I mean, maybe like the last line of defense for Ryu, where we were really defending his play, especially domestically, right? Like in NA, he was great. Like he was rock solid for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people hate him. He was great.
People just hated him, right? So for Huhi though, it's you know, do you feel like it's a net positive in playing? Like, how do you think he matches up with Ryu? Are we going to miss certain elements of Ryu's game that we don't get with Huhi?
Yeah. I do feel like it's a net positive. You haven't brought up Aurelion Sol yet, but I think that's a clear, like, that's the issue. Honestly, I don't know. I'll be completely honest. I don't know a ton about the way he plays. What I do know is that you have to ban Aurelion Sol when you play against him. You have to, or he will beat you with it, which is insane. It's so goofy. It's like, it's just one of those champions where he is the best in the world at it, and so you can't. It's like Heimerdinger, right? It's
yeah, it's like the weird pocket pick that comes out that
it's like, even if you know how to play against Heimer, like you've been practicing, you play against the best Heimer in the world and you lose. It's just what you do. Mm-hmm. So I honestly think that's a huge problem for teams who play against us now, because they're going to be playing against us and they have to ban Aurelion Sol, and you kind of have to do it first. You have to, because you can't wait until the second round of bans. So then you have Ssumday and you have Bang, and you have 2 bans between the two of them. So good luck, you know, narrowing their champion pool. It's going to be a serious problem. And I think that there will be a couple teams who try to not ban a Sol against us, and we will get to see some really fun games when that happens. Because, there's a YouTube clip that floats around out there, which is his Aurelion Sol highlights. Yeah. It's insane. The guy is out of control.
Yeah.
Aurelion Sol.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, you sent that to me. I had a chance to watch it earlier today, and it was insane.
And it's Hjarnenheimer. Thank you and that'll be easy to remember now. Hjarnenheimer. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So drafting against us, is probably going to be significantly more difficult. We're going to have to wait for the Season 9 patch, right?
Yep.
So it's hard to really say what's going to happen until we see what happens with that. So I'm going to leave that as a question mark at the moment.
Maybe they'll delete Aurelion Sol.
Yeah, just no more of that, guys.
Remove him
We're
from the
sorry.
game. That strat is no longer valid. They put the patch note in there, you know, like some player in the NLCS.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how that shakes out, because, you know, like, obviously Season 8 patches changed the game a whole lot.
Yeah.
Things were looking way different. I mean, think about how crazy Cody Sun was carrying when Funnel was a thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a completely different game the first couple of weeks of that.
And now, like, the latest patch, I think, like, kind of allows room for the Funnel strat to be back in. So we really don't know what's going to happen when it comes to that. And Huhi is one of those players that, you know, maybe affected by that more than others. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
I actually think so. Based on I haven't, you know, I've not done a lot of theory crafting, obviously, 'cause it's not what I do. But but I do know that they're making changes, right, with the tower plating. It's meant to give players more kind of ability to do exactly what Huhi does, right? So that your tower can't be rushed down quite so quickly. So if he sees a play, he's going to have more ability to make it happen and leave his lane, which I think that will be good for him. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
I'll have to wait and see if that, you know, what that looks like.
How that plays out
season.
Yeah. But I think in general, right? Like, obviously having a permaban on your squad is always a good thing, but I do think that the roaming is good no matter who he's on, and if that's kind of his mindset, that'll be a really positive thing, because I think it does free up Anda, and Gilded Nova mentioned this in chat, but you know, Anda had to spend a disproportionate amount of time in or around bot lane to try to just keep it together. So one, I think Bang makes it so that's no longer a thing. You can kind of just forget about him down there, I'm sure, or you can go down and get some free kills probably. But two, you kind of have like another flex jungler who can set up ganks and help out, right? Yeah. And we've seen that when Anda can help Ssumday, Ssumday can take over a game. So all it takes is one or two trips from Huhi that work well, and that it can start to get pretty nasty.
Right. And Anda, you know, is somewhat. We should just transition to talk about Anda.
Yeah, let's do Anda.
And I'm gonna be like this will be maybe my hottest take that I've delivered on the podcast the whole time, but I'm gonna go ahead and go on record with this. So
yeah, do it.
A lot of the talk, obviously, since, you know, we've done what we've done and our roster has been in comparison to TL, since they you know, obviously made a couple big moves as well with Jensen and Core JJ.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's basically like, which one of these teams is going to be the stronger team or whatever. I'm going to go on record telling you that right now, Anda is a better jungle than Xmithie. I'm going to go on record and say that. Like, if you just look at Worlds, man,
yeah,
you just can't tell me that Xmithie was playing better at Worlds than Anda. Now, obviously, Xmithie has a ton of experience in that he has hit higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he has been at a higher level before, but I think he's on the way down. And we have only seen Anda get better since he's been with our squad, to where at Worlds he was looking very, very strong. Even though we couldn't quite deliver the results that we wanted to as a whole, he individually was looking excellent. So I think we're going to see Anda's ceiling just get higher and higher. I think Michael Jordan would say his ceiling is the roof, and we are just going to like see the evolution of somebody who's going to become one of the stronger, you know, players in NA. So I'm going hot take on this one, because I know that there are going to be many, many, many people who disagree with me, but let's wait and see. Let's revisit this clip after we get through Spring Split. I'm telling you, that dude is looking great, and if he can keep up what he has done already, if he can just keep the same habits or whatever, like, he's going to be really, really strong.
Yeah, I fully agree with everything you said. His upside is insane. It's kind of like, you know, we spent a ton of time talking about Rikara and how he got thrown right into the fire. I mean, Anda had some more time. He didn't have a ton more time, you know, like he kind of.
But he had played in LCS before.
That's true.
He wasn't just an academy player.
But was it like a part of a split that he had?
I don't know. I mean, like, I remembered this. I was reminded of this when I was doing the like research on top plays. Like, I saw him playing for FlyQuest.
Okay.
So, you know, I don't know how long that stretch was, but yeah. He definitely had some LCS experience ahead of this.
Right.
But still, like, I think the expectation for him were low.
Yeah.
Especially considering who he was replacing.
Yeah.
And I tweeted this at him at the end of the season. You know, it's like, you had some huge shoes to fill when you came to 100 Thieves, and I think you stretched him a bit.
Yeah, for sure. And especially when you think about his first trip to Worlds, right? That's another stage where, I think regardless of whether you've had some NA reps, that's just a different environment, and he delivered there too. So yes, fully agree. He has exceeded expectations.
I'm really, really looking forward to watching him in this upcoming split.
Me too. I mean, he straight embarrasses people, dude. And he I think it was Smithy, wasn't it? Who that game
Huhi
where he
four buffed, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Um,
I really want to like use that as an example, but
I know
Smithy
we
caught
lost.
him.
I know we lost.
And he caught back up quickly. Like by
Yeah.
like he was like level 6 at the same time Anda was in that.
They're
particular
like
game.
let's not get ahead of ourselves. There are definitely things that Anda can and should improve on in his game, like taking a lead like that and blowing the game up. Here's my I'll meet your hot take with my hot take, which is
Nice. Hot take hour.
I think that Anda could be. This is a hot take. I think Anda will be first team All Pro jungler this year, either spring or summer. Give me that flexibility, one of the two. I think he'll get there.
Nice. Okay.
Best
Well, I mean
jungler
that
NA.
you're basically saying that you also think he's better
Yeah.
than Smithy.
Right.
If he's gonna reach that pinnacle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If he's
I guess
first team.
I just reworded your hot take,
Wow. Wow.
but that's what your hot take means. So we're committed to it. I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy of us to say that.
Man, I hope so. I really if all I'm saying is if he continues on the trajectory that he has been on,
Yeah.
then that's what he's going to be.
Right.
So everybody else can flame me on Twitter for having that take and tell me how much better Smithy is, but I just want let's talk about it at the end of spring or at the end of summer, and let's just see what happens. I really think that he's going to be a rising star. So.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's so funny because think how much he's going to have to do to get any recognition for that on this team.
Yeah. Right.
Who looks at who? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so how's
that's a good
Bang
point.
doing? How's Ssumday's do? Like
That's a good point.
It's going to be a while before you get down to look at him. So maybe he won't have the attention on him as much.
And kind of in the same way that they're high and low demand resource players, right? Like Double If being high demand, Uzi being high demand. It's kind of like there's a share of recognition to go around for a team, and if you have people carrying games routinely, they're going to get it all. That's who people will be talking about. So I think that's a good point, right? It may be that Anda is not the player who blows these games apart for us. And as a result, I think I know people would overlook him, right? Because he doesn't have an established name. Like people aren't expecting a lot from him. So if his contribution is just like facilitating our carry players carrying, then they're going to get the credit they deserve, and he probably won't.
Yeah. Well,
but as a jungler, I think you have to kind of be okay with that.
Right. And we're going to know.
Yeah, we'll know.
I mean?
We'll talk about him.
Yeah.
We'll give him props.
Can we talk Ryu for a second? I mean, we kind of already mentioned this, but so he's leaving his position to transition into coaching.
Yes.
Which is like that caught me off guard too, right? Because obviously when Ssumday was locked in, I knew that Ryu was probably not going to be there if because all of the steam was looking like it was going to be an import bot laner. So I didn't expect him to stay with the org though, and I'm actually really happy with that. And he has that connection with Prawley, and to get him more involved in the coaching side, he can spread that philosophy and communicate that better to the Korean players as well.
Yes.
Dude, what a cool solution to the import problem.
I think that this is the masterstroke of everything that's happened. I really do. Like, I don't think that if you didn't come up with this solution, I don't think the other pieces fall into place. And honestly, maybe someday, we don't know. Maybe one of the things that convinced them to stay was they said, look, Ryu will be here, right? And we knew he'd be here. I know he'd be on contract. But they could have said, Ryu will be here, and we're going to bring in a world-class ADC, right? And then it's like, for Ssumday, well, I know I like Ryu, and I know I like playing on a balanced map where you've got pressure on both sides, right? So, but then, yeah, it's such an elegant and brilliant solution to the import situation we're in. It's just a great way to keep the team. I don't know if there are salary implications or anything like that. I don't know if I would imagine he's not on the same contract to be a coach as a player. Um,
I think you'd have to voluntarily renegotiate that. But.
right, but that probably allowed us to have the cap room we would need to, because you got to imagine who he's not making as much as an import mid laner.
Yeah, well,
Imports almost always make more.
I don't even know if there is a cap. Honestly, I don't.
Oh,
I'm cap, but
using cap,
like cash to spend.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like if we're spending, 200,000 less on Ryu next year, then that gives us a lot of space to play with.
Yeah, geez, that's one of those things I really wish we knew these players' salaries.
I don't understand why it's not public. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's just reporting's not as developed, I don't think, for this.
Yeah.
It'll probably over time be.
Yeah.
When Jacob Wolf drops his Wolf Nuggets or Wolf Bites, we're still working on it. We're gonna come up with a name for it. I like Wolf Nugget.
I know you. I've seen that one being used lately.
Maybe that will become a part of the Wolf Nugget. Who knows? But yeah, I just was really I was happily surprised with that. I felt it was a creative solution, and let's kind of continue to provide an opportunity for a player who's done a lot for us. So thank you, Ryu.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like when we've talked about Ryu, it's not like he's not a mechanical like god when it comes to mid lane play. He's solid, but we've talked about him like. I think we kind of suspected this at different times throughout the season, and we were like, is Ryu a mastermind? Like, is he the one who's setting up a lot of these plays? And there was one play that I talked about way back when where it was like a really good jungle play in the river. And then suddenly over the wall comes flashing in Ryu. And I was like, you watch the replay, and Ryu's just sitting there kind of orchestrating and coordinating this whole thing. And he's the one who hit on Bush.
Yeah, that's right. The hide on bush and the Haunter bait.
Yeah. So I think there is a degree of this where he's just got so much experience and at the highest levels that even if he's no longer the guy who can keep up with Rookie, he's got a really good mind for the game. That's my sense of him. And I think that's exactly what you want to coach. So I think it's a really good move for us. Really good addition.
Yeah. And again, just to reiterate, and he also has the Prawley like connection. So
right.
When
like
you've
it's the only solution that I can think of, and we did not think of this. Although I swear I had a thought about it at one point, but I'm not going to claim credit for it.
This wasn't on my radar.
Yeah. But it's the only solution that I think they could have come up with that's actually additive and not just a minus, right? Like we were kind of talking about, they're going to have to do something with Ryu. They're going to have to get rid of him. They're going to have to send him to Academy. I think those would have all been.
And you'd have to do something with an NA player, so.
Yeah. Like you've got, because we have to get that bot lane fixed, and the only thing that we could think of to truly fix it was to free up an import spot.
Yeah.
So, a masterstroke. Well done.
Yeah, and now you've got two people coaching, preaching the same gospel, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the players. So, yeah, I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
So now let's talk Levi,
yes.
because that is very interesting, right? We are sitting on Levi, who is an asset that has an incredible amount of potential.
Yep.
And using him doesn't really fit into the rest of our roster, and it's all because of the import rule, right? So obviously Bang's going to play. Obviously Ssumday's going to play. But even if for some reason we needed to sub out, one of those guys and sub in Levi, then you're not replacing position for position. So you have to have someone paired with Levi who can come in, who's domestic, and rotate. So if you want to switch him in, you actually have to switch two players and not just one. Right. And that becomes complicated. And then you're locked into like a 7-man system, which is not compatible with Worlds. And it's not compatible with Worlds, where you only have 6.
Right.
So the thing with Levi is like, I think like it doesn't really make sense to hold him at this point.
I agree.
And that sucks, and it's kind of crazy to say because of the the vast amount of potential that he has.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think last season, whole season, we were in a situation where it's like, man, it would be really cool if we could get Levi in. And I think at the start of when this team was made, there's a ton of excitement around the fact that we had Levi on our roster, even if he was on the academy, because people had just come off from seeing him dominate at Worlds. So a ton of excitement. And I just feel like it was always the question last season, even of where do we fit him in? And they tried some stuff, right? In Rift Rivals, they tried some stuff. It just didn't work. And I feel like now there are even fewer possibilities and options of how to actually get him some playing time. So I'm fully with you. I think, and I honestly just think from a like being a fan of League of Legends perspective, he deserves to be somewhere else where he's going to actually get playing time.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen here. And it's not because we don't want to play him or he's not good enough. It's just we now have two such high quality people. There's no way that that's the best roster we can put forward.
Yeah, and I think he's probably a victim of the bot lane situation, because if our bot lane would have been stable and Cody Sun performed at a high level for us and we didn't really feel the need to kind of like hit a home run to replace him or whatever, then we probably would have had a plan in place to have him be our second import.
Well, I mean,
maybe
the plan that we have right now, right? If we had Cody Sun, Cody, Aphro, Huhi, Ssumday, Levi.
Right.
That's
that
a 5-man squad.
Sense. Yeah.
It's a 5-man squad, but we just don't have. But that is not, well, one. Now that we have someone that's such a high skill play at the ADC, the trade off there is just not even close to like being worth considering.
Yeah. So I just think someone in YouTube chat said it's unfair to make him stay in academy. I wouldn't use the word unfair, because he's signed to a contract and he's getting paid and everything. But yes, I agree with your sentiment that I would rather see him playing somewhere, and someone with that tremendous amount of potential, should be playing somewhere. So, maybe we can use him as a trade asset, but that would have to be for a domestic player. Or
I
maybe
think
like an import at a duplicate position, so at top or bot, but like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I don't think that trade would really come through. That just doesn't seem likely to me. So I think he's going to be gone. Maybe it's just a pure buyout. I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting to think about as a trade, kind of like a trade prospect, right? Who is on our academy team right now? Is Rikara still our backup? I mean, I know that these guys are all testing free agency.
Brandini and Stunt are still for sure.
Okay.
With us. I don't know about the rest. I don't know if Rikara is still with us or not.
Like, I know that Rikara said he was accepting offers or whatever, or exploring.
We're exploring it. Yes.
Yeah. So we haven't seen anything, of course, come through saying that, but.
I imagine like that stuff is really just like less of a priority to handle. You know what I mean? So we just got through the big week of free agency.
Yeah.
And there are teams that are still doing stuff right now. So
yeah, but like, and so we've got Ssumday and Bang for 2 years. But it's almost like you gotta have somebody on the roster, right? Like if Ssumday sprains his wrist, right, you have to have somebody who can go up there and play.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just like send, I guess, Brandini. He's a nice guy.
Well, the other thing with Brandini is, and someone, so our pal Mikey, Evo Mikey, is saying he heard rumors that we were talking to Fake God.
Mm-hmm.
I surely hope that's true. I don't know what the source of that rumor is. I have not heard it myself. But he was the standout player from Scouting Grounds, and maybe we have, if we have someone like that, who's just like a lot of potential, developing on our academy team, especially domestic player, then potentially we have somebody good down the road that we can swap in, in case that happens. But
I'll give you my ideal. It's that we trade Levi for somebody, and I think it almost has to be a domestic player. And I don't know how likely that is. I think there are a lot of rosters in NA who would benefit from having him. So I hope they're at least listening to us. But I hope we trade him for either a mid or a jungler. And not because I think that we need anybody there, but I think that we have a higher probability or likelihood of actually developing a 6-man roster if we have a strong player in one of those two positions.
That's the thing. We need to find what that 6 piece is, and it's it's not like the most critical thing in the world, because having a player out is not It's not like more than likely that would happen,
Yeah.
but it does happen, right?
Yeah. So I hope we can do that, and it would be nice if we could actually trade him to get a backup in one of those places, because then you get somebody with a little bit, maybe a little bit more tested or proven, or somebody who you know is higher quality than just taking a chance on a high challenger player and who's never had a competitive experience. Right, it's only done solo queue. Like I think that'd be I think that would be a net positive if we could swap Levi for that.
Yeah. Um, Mike Evo Mikey said he saw that 100 Thieves is the only org Fake God is following. So maybe that's some corroboration. He's also following Jackson, and Jackson is the guy really working on all this stuff. So yeah, I don't know. And then let's see, who was it that said they weren't sure, they thought Stunt had already left. That was also Mikey. I'm pulling up the contract database. He's at least still in the contract database with us.
Yeah.
And that has been updated.
I'm just laughing over here at Incross's comment on Brandini.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He's no Ssumday, but he's a nice guy.
Oh man, I feel bad that I went that hard on him. But
you've created a meme, Cole.
I have created a meme. That is perhaps our first meme. Well, yeah. So yeah, that's something to look to, and hopefully we can.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, we've got the academy roster is not I'd say it's not much of a priority right now at all. But it is one of those where I think we're in a position right now where we can think about 6-man more than we've ever been able to before. I think before last split specifically, we were always talking about 5th man. Like, we didn't have a clear 5th man in our roster. So we're leaps and bounds ahead of that. And the fact that we can even think about a 6-man is actually pretty exciting. And I think Levi is probably our best path there.
Yeah. Just really quick too, our man John Robinson dropped into the YouTube chat.
Oh, hey, John.
Love the pod, guys. Thanks for the mug. So I think we may mention this, but we sent these to the 100 Thieves office. So
hey, really good job, John.
Yeah, John, really good job. Really, really good job this off season. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
I promise I'm not just saying this to suck up to the mysterious and mystical John Robinson or any of the other 100 Thieves staff. But it's hard for me to imagine them doing a better job this offseason.
Yeah.
Because just think about where we were at the end of Worlds, right? Had a lot of fans turn on us and had a lot of people just really resented everything that happened with Cody.
Yes.
Reinforced their resentment for the things that happened with Medios. Felt like we didn't deserve to be there, like we weren't the team that had the skill to represent NA or whatever. Which questions did we not answer? You know what I mean? How did we not clear up? Just everything that's happened is crazy. To think that we came from there to now we are obviously one of the favorites for NA.
Yeah.
Right? Easily in contention for a title in NA. And that is just that's unbelievable in and of itself. And then when you have something as chat was kind of mentioning, Cody Sun, right? Cody Sun is still exploring his options. He tweeted, I think earlier today, or maybe this was yesterday actually. He said, "Unfortunately, it seems I will not also be playing in the LCS next split. Last few months has been rough, but I'm not giving up. Currently exploring my options in Academy and other regions. Thank you guys for supporting me." Now, again, I wish this dude the best. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't have any hate towards Cody Sun or anything, but he hasn't found a landing place in the LCS.
Yeah.
So, if it was just 100 Thieves just threw this guy out the window and they didn't care about him or whatever, if that was truly the case, someone would have picked this guy up.
Well, on that topic, right? I've been seeing very prominent people in the league community talking about how this doesn't make sense. How can this be? What's going on? It seems pretty straightforward to me. This, again, read between the lines. Just do it a little bit. You don't even have to look real close. And we know Cody Sun is a very talented player. We know that it didn't go well. And I think that Medios also a free agent. um, the way that you conduct yourself, I think, in these situations is so important. And, you kind of get a sense that for the organization, for 100 Thieves to not play these people in a position where everybody else is saying, why are you so stupid? Why would you not play Cody Sun? He's clearly better than Rikara. I think the fact that they are not landing very, like, there is not an organization out in this league who wouldn't happily take Cody Sun if he was a clear upgrade for them, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's validation of that fact that not only were 100 Thieves not willing to take that chance and kind of risk probably the team dynamic issues, no one else in the league is willing to. And I don't think that's from people, like, I don't think that's from 100 Thieves spreading like bad
No,
reviews or talking badly about him to other people. I think it's just the people who have the team to run understand how disruptive it can be to have somebody on your team who's not gelling. And you can have low skill players, but if they all like each other, at least you can get better.
Yeah.
But if you got somebody in the mix who just isn't working, then good luck to you, man. Especially if you're a coach. Like, what could be more disruptive to trying to build something than bringing somebody in who you're concerned might be counterproductive in that sense.
Yeah.
So I fully agree with you. It's like this I think completes the story.
Right. Yeah. Free agency kind of like puts a little bit of that to rest. And again, as we've said before, there are people who will forever think that that was a bad decision, and they've made up their minds and they're not going to be swayed either way. But to me, that's some sort of validation for the move that they made. And then so there's that piece. Like we said, there's getting Ssumday back. That looked pretty bleak, especially considering, everybody's opinion of us and where it seemed that we were at the end of the split. So to pull that in, to bring in freaking Bang.
Yeah.
Like how I would scratch my head to see, like, how could we have done any better in this offseason? And it all happened in a week. So if they're like, I loved this first year of the org, and it was so fun to watch, and it was a roller coaster and frustrating at times, but the highs were high, and now it's just like, look at all we have to look forward to for 2019.
Yeah. It would have been so easy for us to try to get any of the single things that we got and just call it a year, right? Like, we got Ssumday back. Call it a year. We're in good shape. We've got a carry player on our roster. We're good. Or to be like, we know that Ryu's not going to be the player to get us that next level at Worlds. So we're going to get Huhi. We'll look to build in the future. We've got another import slot freed up. Maybe we'll bring Levi in a little bit. We've got some room. Or go out and get a world-class ADC. But they did all three. They did it all in one go.
Yeah. This is just insane.
Yeah.
And to be a new org doing this, right? It's not like TSM did this.
Right.
It's not like Cloud9 did this. It was a brand new org.
Yeah. And at the end of last week's pod, we talked about how, like, we kind of just sat there and we were like, what even is the solution? Like, let's just make up a solution. And we kind of had a hard time doing it to all of the different things that, like a solution that answered all of the problems that we were identifying with the current roster. So the fact that they were able to not only think of a creative solution there, like with Ryu going to coach, we hadn't thought about that, but to then make it happen in the way they did that's outstanding. That's outstanding.
Yeah. So hats off to them for solving
it sends
that
a signal,
puzzle.
like,
and,
watch out, because we intend to win everything.
Dude, that's exactly right. Like, that is what they're saying with these signings. They're like, okay, we're not going to just sit back and be like, all right, we're franchise, we're cool.
Yeah.
Let's design some new hoodies.
We'll grab an NA championship eventually. We'll get there.
Yeah, it was, no, we're here. We're going to try and win right now.
Right. Like, we're already looking to Worlds 2019, and we're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
We're feeling like we've got a good shot at this. That's crazy, man.
So, and now we have some time to, like I was saying, like, I hope we look at the academy situation and make some interesting moves there. I'm all in for developmental stuff. So if we want to take a risk on somebody like Fake God, who has no competitive record whatsoever, but it's just like, hey, let's see, what this domestic product is like, especially since he would be backing up an import slot. Man, like, let's just do that and enjoy all the wins that we're gonna get next split.
We should probably talk a little bit about expectations. I mean, I feel like we've talked about that a lot. Like with Worlds, we talked about expectations.
You mean like your prediction?
I don't know about prediction, but like what now? Yeah, I want to talk about this. What constitutes success for this team now? So we talked about this for Worlds, right? Like,
okay,
what should we feel good about leaving Worlds with?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is not just like, not like where do we think they're going to end up, but it's like for given the roster moves that we've made, what bar do we have to hit to be considered a success?
Yes.
So, wow. And I mean, that bar has to be super high with who we've got.
Mm-hmm.
And what I assume is the money that we're paying for these imports, right? So
pro bono, bang.
And it's especially difficult because, spring we were first place regular season, second place playoffs. And then summer we were second place regular season, fourth place playoffs. Like it's not like we haven't done well already.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
Liquid seriously ramped it up. Like, bringing in Jensen and Core JJ, those are definite upgrades for them. I think that with this roster, we should be able to win one of these splits. I think we should be able to win one of these splits.
That just could you just say that again? It just sounds so good, dude.
And
to get the banner hanging.
Right. Oh. We should be able to win one of these splits. I don't know if we have to in the first year. Because all of the players that we brought in, right? Like, well, Ssumday is a re-sign, right? So he's on 2-year contract. Bang's on a 2-year contract, and Huhi's on a 2-year contract. So at least we know that some of the the big high value players could be here to stay for a while. So do we? Oh gosh, it's so hard to commit to this. Like, do I think that? Do I think that winning one of these splits is yes? I'm going to say yes. To be considered successful, that this roster should win a split.
Yeah,
and that's really high bar. So I'm sorry to set that bar.
I mean, I can tell you what failure looks like, and it's not making it to Worlds, right? I think if we don't make it to Worlds, that would just be considered a huge failure to launch. And it's kind of like there's this weird, like looking at the history of this squad and this team, you do get a really weird sense of expectations because we did so much, and I'm going to say it, with so little compared to what we have now, right? And that's not to kind of undersell any of the players we had on our squad. I think our squad was awesome, and I think for the first season it was as good as we could have possibly hoped. It's just like we went from 0 to 100 so quickly.
Multi-level right there. Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it really is. And so I think that's the danger, right? Is that we'll look at this and say, and I think that the league this year is different than the league last year, fundamentally. Like, I think there's an arms race. I think everybody is spending and buying. We are not the only ones who are bringing in incredibly talented people. So I think the overall quality, at least in the top 4 or 5, probably top 4, will be higher. But that's kind of what counts, right? So like our free wins are freer probably than they've ever been before. Like our Golden Guardians games will be a joke.
Yeah. A couple of people in the chat, both chats, are mentioning Team Liquid. So yes, yeah, we need to be able to compete with them, and we need to be able to win against them. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. If we're going to win a split, that means basically that we're going to beat Team Liquid along the way. Yes, I agree with that. And I think we can do it. And I
Yeah.
think we will do it. And I get that that's a high bar, but it's like, look, we're talking about what end result makes these moves a success.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you got to win one. You got to win one. Now, the next question then is Worlds. So how do you, like, do you think, like, we should get out of groups with this team?
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely think we should get out of the groups, and you know, that entirely depends on what group we're in and how the group looks, and you know what the meta's looking like, and if it's favorable to our team. There's a lot of questions that we need to answer, but I think it's going into it. I expect that. I mean, we were not far from getting out of groups this time. Yeah, we were far in the sense that the gap between it was there. But we won the games we were supposed to win at Worlds 2018. We got third place. We were one place away from getting out of groups. So with these changes, I absolutely expect that we get out of groups. That will be my expectation going in for sure.
I mean, it would depend on the draw, you know, because like,
yes,
like what happened to us this year, and it wasn't evident at first, but we drew the finalists, right? And
yeah, we were the observers to the finalist matches.
Right. This is, you know, we're not the only team that's making huge upgrades, you know, in the world, right? And so
yeah, like Europe is looking pretty scary.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure if I think that we have to get out of groups to be considered a success, but man,
I think
it's certainly more likely. It's certainly more likely. Like, there's no question about that.
Like before groups are drawn, my expectation is that we get out of groups. After we see the draw and after we see kind of how things shake out, we can reassess.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see that draw to commit to this. Sorry, everyone. So let's really quick before we wrap up here. There's a question. There's several questions. A lot of people asking if we're going to talk about other teams and other moves and stuff like that, like EU. And I think no for now. No, we're going to keep this 100 Thieves focused. There is one question though that I think we'll go to before we get out of here. So question in general. This is from Gilded Nova in Twitch chat. Will viewership go up this season from last season in the LCS?
That's a good question. We
now,
ended
in the LCS, viewership was down like significantly.
Really?
Like, World's viewership was up.
Right.
But like, everybody saw like the Twitch numbers like really falling during LCS. So I think Worlds helped it be the most, successful season in terms of, viewership. But LCS specifically, I think took a drop last year.
Man, it's such a hard question to answer and ask. I think I talked about this on the pod with Drake, and I did. I still just think League is a really hard game to get people into, and it's at the point now where, like, we're probably the exception, right? Or the established gamers who just don't know what League is until way later in their game playing career. Like, where were we the last 8 years? I don't know. So it kind of feels like the market is saturated so far as like, where are we going to find new viewers? I think that, and I think a lot of this sits on Riot. Like, they've got to do more to make this game accessible and easy to pick up so that people can give it a shot and see how fun it is. I think the teams and the competition is going to be better than it's ever been. So I don't think
that's what I was going to say. I have a slightly different take. I don't think it's necessarily where we're going to find the new viewers. I think it's going to be, how do we get the old viewers excited again?
That could be.
And what has happened in NA this offseason already, I think, is the kind of thing that people can get excited about.
I think you might be right.
So, bringing in the high-powered imports and teams like, not just making moves in a vacuum, but ramping up against each other the way that they are doing. I mean, if and with a new org like 100 Thieves being someone to contend with, right? So it's not just the same old players who are like vying for the top spot. It's like, no, hello, we're here now too. Yeah. Like, there's more competition. So I think what has happened so far could increase LCS viewership.
I think you're right. I think you're right. That's a really good point. And I was not thinking about the players who the people who know League and who love League but have kind of fallen out of love with League. for whatever reason. Yeah, like the LCS games are going to be better this season than they have in some time. I fully expect. Remains to be seen what the rest. I tweeted after we done that, and I said it's nice that all the other teams are letting us get the airwaves here, but like they can go ahead and announce their big moves now, because we can't be the only teams. Like this can't become a league of 3 teams, right? That wouldn't be good. We need to have some more. We need to have some more moves, and we need people to actually invest and go in on this, or else it's going to get kind of lonely at the top. And we're going to show up to Worlds, and we're going to be rusty.
Yeah.
So
well, I think this is going to be an exciting season to watch, and
starts next weekend, right?
I think
Spring
it's
split?
I wish. I think this is the kind of thing that can get some people who maybe have been turned off to League for a little bit, more excited about it, and I hope that is the case.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Yep. Anything else before we roll? We're gonna wrap this one up, guys.
We're gonna wrap it up. Maybe I might stick around and chat for a few minutes and just answer some questions that I saw coming through that I didn't get a chance to talk about, but we can call it a wrap here, I think.
Yeah, and I think so for those who are on Twitch, there's a possibility that we'll do another gameplay stream after this. As long as we can get all of our stuff taken care of and posted really quick, then we'll do our best. So we'll tweet it if we're going to do that. We'll tweet so you guys can come and laugh at us.
The comedy hour.
The comedy hour where you watch us try and figure out how to play. So please stick around and join us for that. Again, thanks to everyone for spreading the word. Like our numbers are going up pretty steadily right now, which is really exciting, and I think that's going to enable us to do some cool things in the future. And as always, please, whatever measures of engagement that you can send our way would be excellent. Like likes, comments, retweets, friends, subscriptions, reviews of the pod. If you listen to the audio version, like that sort of thing, really helps us. And this was the first year that we've done the pod, and I think we've had such a fun experience and had so much fun interacting, especially with the chat and with people on Twitter and everything, that we're definitely planning to ramp this up for the upcoming year. So.
Yeah, we're investing huge.
Huge. What does that mean? We're investing huge. I'm throwing down $35,000 for this podcast.
I got my dual monitor set up, and I got
nice.
Studio lighting. So I'm investing, man. I'm in.
Yeah, there you go.
Making moves.
Yes, but as always, thank you so much for watching with us, and we hope you'll come back and have fun with us as we watch 100 Thieves win all of 2019.
It's all over.
Your world champions 2019. 100 Thieves. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will do this again, probably not next week, but maybe the week after that. So keep your eye on the Twitter, and we love you. Love you.
Bye, everybody.